YouTube comments from a video titled, Hormone and Fertility Experts. We've been lied to about women's health. If this happens, call a doctor. Part 2.
At Steffbrook 24 wrote,
I love this. Thank you so much. Those women are amazing. So grateful they're speaking up for us and doing the work to make all stages of female life better. Breaking the stigma and talking about. Thank you, Stephen, for spreading awareness and being curious and asking the hard questions. Wish all men would do this. Lol.
At Omomo 202 wrote,
Trust the science. HOW, there is very little science around this. I'm glad these discussions are happening. I'm 46, so I hope I can follow some of their protocols so I can minimize any symptoms. I'm still feeling pretty good and I'd like to keep it that way.
At Lukita wrote,
Would have been great to have at least one practitioner of color to address the many health disparities among other populations. Not only are women underrepresented in research, so are women of color.
Mitch 88 wrote,
1457 Yes, we are different. I've been telling people this women, the most important creature on earth, has always been pushed to the back or side for men to get all the attention.
At the Jumblies 4610 wrote,
If feminism could write a book, straight at the 7th minute, all that nonsense came up. There's extensive research on women issues since the 1950s. The fact that endometriosis until the beginning of this century was not well understood and not taken into consideration is true, but not due to lack of research. Many illnesses like vaginism, dyspareunia, PMS, PMD, adipositas, depression, PMDD, or even menstrual symptoms or menopausal symptoms are so multifaceted and without simple solutions as many will wish for. Problems with libido or incontinency are also complex. The last 20 years, especially since the pharmaceutical industries are investing heavily and having high returns on their investments with extensive, even individual therapies for breast cancer or menopausal disease as well as ovarian cancer, it's almost ridiculous to make such claims. Most patients expect a solution with little or no personal input or effort. It doesn't work that way. It's also hard for many male and female to understand that few conditions can be solved at one visit, especially if you have a list of 5 or 10 sometimes unrelated symptoms. Doctors don't talk too much about exercises and diet, not because they are lazy or complacent, but because, like with alcohol or nicotine consumption, the patients don't want to be lectured about these sensitive and difficult to manage problems and usually expect a quick fix. No one suddenly stops smoking because the doctor ad nausea talked to them about the detriment of smoking or how to stop. The same goes for losing weight and depression. The patient has to want to for any real change to happen. Of course, more men were considered in researching diseases and medications because their cycles were more predictable and stable. Not only is the availability of high caloric and processed foods very high, but high levels of synthetic hormones, plastics, etc. in our good and water and our sedentary lifestyle crucial for our health, but the virtue signaling of morality if someone with little or no sense or someone obese is told to lose weight and not celebrated. Don't forget many research methods are deemed too risky nowadays to consider doing on humans, let alone women. The cluelessness of these ladies to the fact that slaves, prisoners, soldiers, and poor people were the guinea pigs for all the research studies which we now profit from. There are problems in the bias in treating women, especially Black women and many non-white peoples. Taking the hysteria nonsense of over a century ago to bash all the great work done with and for women in gynecology, obstetrics, neurology today is the feminist rhetoric. BTW, I'm a doctor with over 20 years experience.
At Ally U30 wrote,
Whoa W. Awesome episode. This video has so much healthy information. I love all the facts on the video. So open and honest conversation, great to watch, enjoy to listen to. Thank you, Stephen. By the way, whenever I share episode of the Diary of CEO podcast with my loved ones, it always lead us taking or making a very positive, healthy telephone call to a friend or member of a family wherever they are in the world, either here, UK, or in Zanzibar, Oman, Emirates, Canada, or Australia at sea. They loved it.
At Wannabe Gamer 81 wrote,
I cannot thank you enough for having these discussions. It was because of another one of your shows that talked about perimenopause that helped me realize I had been in it for the past 4 years. All the doctors did was push more medications and made me feel like it was just me. Again, thanks to your show. I'm doing much better. I also feel I have more control and say when talking to my doctor. The look of surprise on her face when I asked for natural remedies was disheartening, to say the least. Thank you and your guests tremendously.
at Rachel Green here wrote,
I just want to express how grateful I am for the work you guys all do on this channel. With every new episode, I learn something new from the incredibly intelligent and insightful guests you invite for these conversations. I find this channel truly important and recommend it to all my friends. Thank you.
at Miss101ZX wrote,
I'm in my early 20s and listening to this conversation has helped me, shared it with a friend to learn too. I'm glad that through Doke I get to be more enlightened, and I love how the topics are diverse. Thank you for the work that Doke team is doing.
at HealthyBodieHealthaman 7756 wrote,
I have endometriosis. In my 30s, I got diagnosed with stage 4 endo and had surgery at a hospital in Verona, Italy. This hospital is a popular destination among endo sufferers worldwide. I feel blessed that I have found them. I was in excruciating pain for a year. My mum and sister have endo too. It's more common than what you think. Thank you for this video, Stephen.
at Valeriaslin 4250 wrote,
Mind-blowing. I am in shock. So many things to take in. I will have to listen multiple times. Makes me emotional to hear all of this. Thank you. Thank you for having this discussion, and hopefully our daughters will benefit from this knowledge and it will change their lives.
at Elodie Corville 2462 wrote,
I have to comment on this one, because this video is so important for women like me who never got their period, if there's any. I'm 20 years old, and I've never had my period. I ran multiple tests. Doctors told me nothing was abnormal. I was about 18 when they put me on a non-contraceptive hormonal pill to help with my acne and my period, and I went on it until May of this year. I stopped because the period I got on the pill didn't feel natural at all, and I felt like it was just a band-aid solution. They in fact call it hormonal withdrawal bleeding. It's been 5 months since I've stopped and all my hormonal acne is back, though I had a few spotting here and there, which is a good sign. I consider my diet to be very healthy and balanced plant-based. But I'm tired of dealing with acne, bloating, and I still can't wait to have real and normal periods. Thank you for this amazing conversation. We all need it in some way.
at Erwicka 72 wrote,
I love how these fabulous Gen X women doctors are out there tearing down the narratives, educating, and empowering. I love how honest these women are about how they didn't realize the bias before they experienced things themselves. Thank you, all of you, for your hard work, your research, your videos, and all you do for all of us out here needing this information. Stephen, this dialogue and discussion is so important. Thank you for providing the platform for these awesome women.
at Bianca Gonzalez 4213 wrote,
Wonderful discussion. I'm feeling so much more comfortable in asking the right questions for me and always making sure I'm questioning what I put in my body, while still having a healthy belief in our doctors. I appreciated the candidness of these doctors and how they openly discuss how much they have learned and grown.
At Erzabeth 9544 wrote,
I had irregular periods and was prescribed birth control without much discussion. It was treated as an inconvenience rather than a serious medical condition that ultimately ended in infertility.
At Rebecca Richardson 9094 wrote,
My endometriosis was found via ultrasound and given a vague suggested diagnosis of endometriosis by the NHS. This appointment was only given to me because I said that my mum had fibroids. I've been waiting 4 years for a follow-up appointment. Through infertility checks, since paid privately, I was then given stage 4/5 endometriosis and adenomyosis diagnosis just this month. I'd only recommend paying privately to have infertility and / or endometriosis looked into. The NHS has been a total failure for me.
At J271190 wrote,
Thank you so much for having this conversation. But how do I get help from my wife? She has PCOS, endo, and is anemic, and at least got a diagnosis for all these at a very young age. She is seemingly on the exact same path as your colleague, except she's 33 years old now, and I'm worried about her. She suffers every month to the point where she has to cancel everything. She even had a seizure on our wedding night because she was on her period, stressed and so fatigued. But she soldiers on. Throughout her life, all the doctors have ever said is take birth control, which she can't because it makes things worse, or get pregnant, which is ridiculous, or lose weight, which is borderline impossible because of the conditions. How do we get help for her if we don't have the means to go private? Is there anything she can say to be taken seriously? Thank you again for this conversation.
At Kmakbibs 4748 wrote,
I'm 40 and have been postmenopausal for 2 years now, and have had to fight to see a gyno asking for years BC. My male doctor said I'm too young to be in menopause. Men doctors need to update their knowledge. I'm sending this to my doc. Thanks, ladies, and Stephen.
At Stella Forby wrote,
And is anyone talking about how many girls are taking hormones to attraction to men? Girls and women are under attack. Yes, attack. The system is not just failing us, it has targeted us for extension.
At Priscilla Gregory 4363 wrote,
Thank you so much from the very deep bottom of my heart for having this conversation. Everything I have experienced makes so much sense now. I am not alone and never was. I will be able to guide my daughter and the decisions she will face in her life.
At Amakins 5549 wrote,
If all women were wise enough to truly listen to their own bodies, there would be less noise about needing more research to understand us. We are the research. Each of us carries a living laboratory within, one that records patterns, shifts, and truths far beyond what any study can capture. With AI today, we can easily document and analyze our own daily rhythms, moment by moment, cycle by cycle, and begin to see what's really happening. It's not a mystery. It's the natural evolution of womanhood. The more we tune into our body's wisdom, the less we get swayed by the confusion of other people's opinions, theories, or studies that are rooted in someone else's experience. And that will never be universal, because every woman's body tells a different story, a story only she can truly understand. That's why women's brains are wired differently. We are not meant to fit into the same framework as men, and we shouldn't complain that most studies focus on them. Men are, in many ways, simpler to figure out, whether that's biology or just the way they're built. But women? We are a whole different creation, layered, intuitive, ever-changing. And that's exactly what makes us remarkable. To add icing on the cake, I'm 45 years old and refuse to take any forms of drugs. I have 0 medication, 0 supplements in capsule, tablet or liquid form. I eat whole foods, meat, herbs,
spices, carbs, fruits, fats, vegetables, and that right there is the whole package of nutrients.
At Ines Ramos 1301 wrote,
This episode was great, talking about so much. One topic that I think could have been talked about too was contraceptives in postpartum. But other than tan, great one.
At Nicole Childs 719 wrote,
In a podcast world where men are still having other men on to speak about women's bodies, I have so much respect and adoration for you as a host, Stephen. You not only gave these amazing experts a platform to help your audience, but you gave the male L of the room to speak among themselves. I love this podcast so much.
At Jana Leverco 2763 wrote,
Brilliant, beyond brilliant. As an anorexic since late teenage years and struggling through adult years with having periods on and off, I knew the menstrual cycle was important but never truly understood. So much information here, as so many girls are on birth control and are thinner than they should be, but they still get a regular synthetic cycle and think they are okay. It's fake, and doctors need to let girls/women know that.
At Harshakumar 7307 wrote,
This video was the first touchpoint I've had with your channel. I'm late to the party. I know. This was so incredibly done. This was exactly the type of content that the internet was in an idealist way supposed to be. A contraflow to media that is decided for us. This was just so well done. I am going to share this with every woman I know, maybe a few men too. Thank you to you, your team, and everyone who helped to pull this together.
At Bianca July wrote,
Great conversation based on science. Should have a black doctor on here to talk about the medical disparities and chronic stress in regards to racism that black women face on top of all of this to give a wider perspective, as well as bring in a traditional Chinese medicine and ancestral womb specialist to add to the conversation.
At Haley_Cherryfizz wrote,
I've shared this with my female friends. Publicizing this amount of collective, current expertise is unprecedented. I've learned too late to educate myself and not be led by clinicians with well-intentioned but outdated practices. I wish better for my younger counterparts, and this level of education is a huge contributor. Thank you.
Afif Marks 315 wrote,
Stephen, respectfully, do you know ANY black leaders in ANY field? I challenge this channel to invite one black/African guest note, not a POC, in a round table discussion. Just one. As a longtime subscriber who identifies as a black woman, I would appreciate this. ATP. It almost feels intentional.
At The Nighttime Kook 8377 wrote,
Thank you so much for this. I do have a question for these amazing women. With only a small percentage of clinicians being schooled in menopausal health, how do we go about finding the hormonal replacement care that we need? I want to be confident that I am getting accurate and safe advice from a doctor. Thank her so much.
At David Oladapo 1582 wrote,
As an 18-year male, I just had to comment and appreciate this type of discussions. I just wanted to say that as I was watching this, I felt the need to bring up counter-arguments like males also have these problems and stuff like that, but I really just took the time to sit with myself and ask myself, why do I feel the need to bring up male issues as to counter what they were saying? Why can't we just all work towards bridging the research gap and help and educate both parties? I also wanted to say that I think not totally sure. One of the reasons that caused me as a male to bring counter-arguments to this conversation was the fear of getting pushed aside, because what if we, as society, focus on female problems and males get left out of research and opportunities? I know it's a petty reasoning, but I believe other males also think like this. I also think another reason, for not just me but other males thinking like this, is the mainstream media shaping the idea and belief of men vs. I just wanted to shed some light of this, and for all of us, females and males, to sit with ourselves and one another and ask deep questions and remove this type of thinking and work to a future where both female and male won't suffer.
At Blue 23 wrote,
I have been fasting for 20 years now. But my fast is very different. I fast mainly during Ramadan. The mindset is not one of I am gonna starve myself, not at all. We do not fast during our periods, so maybe that would be a big factor to take into consideration. Also, we don't break the fast with coffee, but with dates and water. As someone with endometriosis, my health has improved a lot. After Ramadan, the cravings are very low, and it is easier to discipline my stomach in general, like I am thinking about food less. And also the timing can make a big difference because we have some food before starting to fast, which is before dawn. In addition to Ramadan, I do the intermittent fasting during weekdays, and again my mindset is not about starving myself, but about benefiting my body. And I do stop eating around 4 or 5 p.m. and then have breakfast around 4, so I fast around 14 hours and no more. So I don't think fasting is bad. If anything, is very good, but just make sure you are doing it in a good way.
At Autumn_Alexandra wrote,
I knew fasting outside of a set religious community is bad. I would be forced to fast as a kid because of abuse. My parents would have no money, so we would have no food. This is what my body did. It stored food once I stopped fasting. My hunger would be insane. That's ID binge. It turned into how I learned to eat. ID fast. And then binge, because it's all I knew. ID gain weight too. So then guilt and self-hatred soon got added on, and ID fast to lose weight. The cycle just snowballed. Not eating made me fatter. When you don't eat enough, your body still wants the bad foods we all always crave. It intensifies it. You smell fast food in the air because our body gets so hungry that the smell intensifies. All the junk food tastes and feels better when starving. You don't grab the cucumber. You grab the candy junk. I'm sorry I wrote this so bad. It's hard for me to say, and I'm finally getting it out.
At Ashanso 4137 wrote,
How come fibroids are never mentioned when it comes to women's health? It's always just PCOS and endometriosis. Fibroids are also a big issue for women, especially Black women.
At Miraveers 5346 wrote,
I just got diagnosed with low follicular count last month. At the time of my internal ultrasound, we only found 3 viable follicles. I asked my DR, what can I do? Is there anything I've done in the past that causes this? Can I change my lifestyle somehow to help my body produce more follicles? She told me first there's nothing I've done, it's how I was born, similar to PCOS. But when it comes to what I can do, she just said to take Clomid, which we haven't started yet. I'm only 48 minutes into this conversation and already learning so much.
HH2Ally wrote,
Again, thank you so much, Stephen, for doing what you can do to help people like me to podcasts and by bringing up the discussions. Awesome stuff from awesomely talented healthy experts and other practices. It's amazing how many people can relate with these topics and how important it really can become when you're not alone.
Kamets 1899 wrote,
OMG, all these women sitting at the same table. It's like a dream come true. Thank you for paving this new way, for all your research and dedication to all of us. You are changing the shape of medicine forever. Thank you for teaching us, for reaching out and saving the lives of so many women who would have never known what to do in perimenopause and beyond. Thank you, Stephen, to you and all of your crew.
At NASA 2851 wrote,
This is Caucasian Women's Health. I am disappointed about you and your team ignoring the other women's voices. You are speaking about women's health, but you're only having a group of Caucasian women speaking for every other woman, when the perspectives of the other women would have been necessary as well, especially due to the major differences. Your topic should have been Caucasian women's health. Too sad you ignored all other women, especially though you decent from some, and there are more than enough experts.
At Sharimp6672 wrote,
Amazing panel. But DOCOMG, you need to have Louise Newsom on this panel. Respect your amazing UK resources on this topic. She is the expert missing that you should have had as well.
At Melgamez wrote,
Amazing talk. But I am still unsure whether I should be going on the pill purely to regulate my periods, as I have recently been diagnosed with PCOS, or whether it is better to just focus on lifestyle changes. And if on the pill, should I go on the combined one? Or just progesterone one? Or the one they mentioned available in the UK, more natural one, and for howling with what breaks? My doctor just recommended the combined one, and that's it. But I want to start trying to conceive in about 10 months, so I truly want to make sure I want what is right for me.
At Lindamore7207 wrote,
Said that these doctors are not available to the average insured woman. Hysteria is the most common diagnosis, and providing a pill of some sort is the insurance-rewarded treatment.
At Xockembers8008 wrote,
Thank you for having this conversation. One aspect I think missing is the spiritual side of understanding the menstrual cycle. I used to hate my period. Always hid it, never tracked. In my 30s, I started honoring it. I'm lucky enough to be in a position to work around it. When my energy and cognitive capacity drops, I lean into it. Take baths, go for walks in nature, reduce my workload to simple, repetitive, or familiar tasks, sleep in, etc. I also follow the 5 core lifestyle changes. Now, I can pick which day my period starts. Have been tracking for a few years, and it fluctuates 22 to 26 days. When I know it's coming up, I'll look at my schedule and see what I have to do. I'll ask it to come on a low responsibility day, and it always listens. Have been doing this over a year. Last month I knew it would be due around the solar eclipse, so I asked it to come on the day for pure witchy vibes. Literally within an hour or so of the exact eclipse time, I felt it start. This month I forgot, and it came the most inconvenient day also. Menstrual blood is packed with stem cells that are currently being studied for treating Alzheimer's disease. Menstruation is magic.
Jen MT wrote,
I look forward to all of your weekly podcasts. This one was incredible. You and your team are amazing. I have my calendar marked for part 2. I am hoping they will speak about surgical menopause. I am very lucky that my female jinn handed me estradiol the day after my surgery at 40. I am 54 now and plan to take it for the rest of my life. Rewatching the podcast again, I learned so much. Your sweetheart is in my thoughts as she navigates the PCOS. I have triplets as a result of an IUI/meds. Thank you for organizing this, and to the wonderful panel for making the time to get together.
At Eleanor Smith 7755 wrote,
I'd love for them to talk about hormones when postpartum and breastfeeding. I breastfed my first till over 2 in T5 years. I lost so much weight and was in bad whinging health. The doctors referred me for cancer screening, but didn't check my hormones other than thyroid. I stopped breastfeeding because I became pregnant again. While pregnant and initially postpartum the second time, I feel great, but I will start feeling bad again once initial postpartum goes away.
At Yildizofiedi 7628 wrote,
This is such an important discussion, and I am really looking forward to part 2. I am hoping that we will get more information on women's health during pregnancy and motherhood in the next one. Because so many things in this discussion just didn't apply to me at my current life stage.
At Laraka 9841 wrote,
Stephen, love that you have done this. As a man showing up for women's health and chatting about such a difficult subject that most men cannot even broach is fantastic.
At Jellybeanie 1993 wrote,
This has been so insightful. I love learning and hearing more about this. My personal experience has been me going through horrendous period issues since I was 14, put on a pill, then the bar in the arm. Diagnosed with PCOS at 23, and then diagnosed with endometriosis at 27, IUD for 3 months, then multiple surgeries, and at 32 now, already perimenopause and going in for a hysterectomy and a oophorectomy to remove everything and go on to HRT. Seeing the endometriosis has only been getting worse as time goes on. After surgery, lifestyle changes includes me exercising and building muscle, eating better, and sleeping more. I am going to get a test for celiac disease. I do have arthritis, bursitis, degenerative bone disease in my spine, liver disease as it's hereditary, and trying to stay as healthy as possible to not become a diabetic like my mom and grandma. I haven't had children, and I don't last long with a partner as intercourse hurts way too much. So that's my story. I have a long road ahead of me, but I feel like it's the right choice for me as this endometriosis is majorly affecting my lifestyle and I can't work with it, so the next thing is to remove the root, cause luckily I never wanted children, so this option works well for me. I feel for all who goes through all of this or just being a woman, and I am so happy to watch this talk between such amazing women and see them all work together and look to changing things for the better in the future for women's health.
At Angel Q3E9C wrote,
I had a similar experience with my hemoglobin DR telling me that the symptoms I was having with regard to a reaction to a drug were all in my head. I was furious. I put my foot down, and I made sure that I got the medical attention I needed, and finally, yes, the diagnosis was I could not tolerate the medicine, and this doctor had the gall to come back to me and say, we have to find a way to work together. He needed to hear me, believe me, and work with me, not the other way around.
At GGSQ12114 wrote,
I find it ridiculous how this WW things is going about within the medical profession. The fact that doctors existed in the first place was to help the individual physical health, but later is dismissed and not taken seriously has me infuriated. As a Christian woman, I read my Bible and I know we are made equally important, different roles, but still just as important as the other. I used to even go to my GP hoping to help me with my concerns, but most of them were men, but because women GP aren't around here, I'm obliged to go to male doctors. Most of my experience is dismissive and disrespectful. Example, I express a concern for my sudden loss of hair, his treatment. To buy a $100 product to my hair grow, and that was a shock because I'm only in my 20s. I didn't go back to my doctor because truthfully he didn't seem to care. Now I had to look after myself and figure out my own hair issue, which I eventually did, but no doctor helped me. I also hundreds and even thousands for this. I can't help but be made at this. Christ even knew that doctor. In his analogy, used doctors to treat people for sin, and he cared deeply for women, so why the heck are men being so cruel and emotional less about issues that are important? I demanded this to be changed. Also, another topic that I think younger gen should recognize that we were born different with gender. So many young gen are considering themselves they/them or trans when even the medics know that our genes are built differently compared to men. This HASTOBE educated TO everyone.
Asilkas 53 wrote,
This was great. I'm so grateful. I'd love to share this conversation with all the women around me, but they don't understand English. Could you put a version in Spanish? Please.
At Fun Time with Denny wrote,
I'm myself a patient of endometriosis since 13 years. But I feel lucky to be diagnosed at an early stage. Although I never experienced severe period pain in my early puberty, but at the age of 25, all of a sudden, I had excruciating pain on my left side of the pelvis, and my general physician recommended an ultrasound that indicate an ovarian cyst on my left side of the pelvis. So my general physician sent me to a renowned gynecologist surgeon. She immediately advised C125 and told me to have surgery so that his pathological report will confirm the type of cyst. I had my first surgery in 2013 as laparoscopic ovarian cystectomy. An ovarian cyst was removed. It was confirmed as endometriotic cyst, and I am diagnosed with endometriosis at the age of 26. Then I had to go through pseudomenopause, false menopause, for 6 months immediately after surgery with GnRH, antagonist Leukerin Depot. That 6 months were the best months of my life. There were no periods. I felt like I was born again. But after 6 months, my periods start to begin again with irregularity. Then after 10 years in 2023, I again experienced excruciating pain on my left side of the pelvis with same symptoms of irregular periods, painful bowel movements, and painful defecation. So again, ultrasound, MRI, and CA125 was done. Both of my fallopian tubes were blocked. There was a cyst on both left and right ovary. So I went to have laparoscopy again. So I had left laparoscopic sulpingectomy, left fallopian tube removed, because endometriosis spread throughout the fallopian tube, and it was embedded in my large bowel. Then again, I went through pseudomenopause with GnRH antagonist Zoladex. Then after 6 months, I had ultrasounds each month, and in November, ultrasound indicated a cyst on the right side. And size was increasing every month, so they put me on trial of a new medicine launched worldwide that is Eaglix 150 milligrams daily pill. That pill was an excellent relief of period pain. I felt good, but not for the cure of endometriosis. Because of the increasing size of right ovarian endometriotic cyst, I again put on injection of Zoladex for 3 months. They had to stop it after 3 months because it can cause low bone mineral density that affects bone in general. So right now my cyst size is reduced. I had MRI this week, and I am hopeful that everything will be fine. The only cure for endometriosis is menopause that normally occur in 50s or 60s. For advanced stage endometriotic patients has to go through hysterectomy in early age. I am 38 now.
At Meba94 wrote,
Amen to HRT. Got my life back after suffering for 3+ years. I changed my lifestyle. Unfortunately, I am in a continent that does not have doctors ready and skilled to discuss and prescribe HRT. I am in a continent where HRT is not readily available. I am in a community that normalizes women's suffering. We have a very long way to go.
At Level 13 wrote,
I hate stim. It gives you a body fake adrenaline, which will later on cause adrenal fatigue. It has destroyed my body, causing me permanent anxiety and panic attacks thanks to Oxy Shredder pre-workout.
At Illinoc 5762 wrote,
Genuine question for other women here. Birth control seems like it can be super harmful for women. Why don't you ask your male partners to use condoms for contraception?
At Neomigriously 7280 wrote,
I use a gel, which I have found very helpful. I was advised by my female GP, who I would say didn't hesitate to offer me estrogen, to put my gel on my inner thighs. I am considering going to speak to her about if I need to increase or not and a testosterone discussion. But how do I get tested for the levels I need? I work in the fitness industry, and I have always weight trained, but it is so hard to keep my muscle mass and shift weight. Thanks to Dr. Stacy Sims, whose book are amazing, I have been able to make slow changes to my physique. I am now working on my microbiome and diet. The struggle is real, and this is such an important discussion. I do wish male personal trainers would make efforts to understand this in depth too. And in the fitness industry, any courses around pre and postnatal are considered special population. Still, it's unbelievable, and I cannot find one single course about training women with the understanding of perimenopause. ATALL. We need specific courses for fitness instructors to do, and it should be compulsory on my opinion.
At MK28QT wrote,
As a woman, I found this conversation quite depressing and full of overgeneralizations. Constant yapping about age-related egg quality decline and marketing egg freezing and IVF. I know plenty of women who have had babies in their early 40s. This convo paints a very bleak picture.
As Sarah6200 wrote,
I am only 1 hour in, and it's mind-blowing how rusty the info in this matters provided by the NHS is when you seek help, advice, recommendations. It even seems childish when a practitioner is so certain the main issue for late periods is the medieval reason of pregnancy and lets you get on with it.
At Vednobulge wrote,
I find what is missed is the relational reality of women. We are such a social creature that even the slightest relationship rupture can cause intense stress to our physicality. If a woman lets a man into her body, when she's not wholly open to it or him energetically, emotionally, physically, mentally, for whatever reason, there is almost always hormonal, reproductive, or other challenges present. We can have a conversation on hormones separate from our emotional needs, but it does not help much at all. Western science sees the physical body as the source of all disease, and if we can get that in check, we'll be fine. But I have known and seen many a people who have all their panels come out perfect, yet are still unhappy, feeling unmotivated, struggling with low libido, lack of energy, and discontent. I really wonder how many of those WW are actually women who are unhappy with their relationships, but feel helpless to do anything about it, and the body takes on their emotional burdens. On the other hand, I've known many a woman who had a rich, loving social circle, meaningful role in their environments, supportive and secure relationships, and were happy and healthy by all medical standards even though they paid no attention to the foods they eat, to strength training, to cold water exposure, or anything else these experts are talking about. There is so much more to us and our health than our physical reality.
and Mutua11 wrote,
They say just go to a doctor when you have an irregular cycle, but I did that for years and years as my cycles were up to 3 months apart, and the only thing I ever got from any doctors was here, take this birth control.
At Alyssa Muller K3R wrote,
This video is so amazing. I love the graphics and everything is so good explained. Thanks so much for this video and the idea of this debate. I learned so much and really appreciate the work you took into this project. I love it.
At Eleonora Zafarova 4592 wrote,
This was amazing. I've shared it with as many amazing women in my life as possible. Cannot wait for part 2. Thank you. So needed.
At Natasha Sonsini wrote,
Finally, I'm glad to see the production of this podcast put these 4 female leaders in their own fields together and talked about women's health. Standing ovation.
At Richard Barker 5244 wrote,
As a man with a daughter, I was very interested in listening to this podcast, but it's very hard to listen to American women talking over each other with accents that go up and down, and who never come up for air when talking. Would have been good to get them to slow down a beat, or 2-7, or throw non-American in just to temper frantic nature of the conversation.
At Adrian McGowan 5956 wrote,
It took nearly a decade and the loss of my first baby due to premature birth at 24 weeks for me to finally be diagnosed with PCOS. It has been a constant battle since, and it's exhausting and overwhelming at times.
At Fluent Funk Pilates wrote,
Love the episode. There is no actual debate because all guests are top in the field, experienced, professional scientists. There is nothing to argue for them. Only agree that our healthcare need to think, research and study the female body more.
At Chantal, H for Y wrote,
Glad to know topics on menopause, perimenopause, and hormones are brought to the table. Welcome more of such conversations. We need more awareness, understanding, and education about women's health more than before. Appreciate Steve and team for bringing this on the podcast and the panel doctors sharing.
At Lilyby01 wrote,
Currently struggling my way through infertility with doctors that casually labeled us unexplained. I realize after this panel that the medical field is just not far enough yet. Female hormones and bodily functions are not like men, and unfortunately our bodies are very much under-researched and misunderstood. It's a little comfort that there's some doctors trying to advocate change. Meanwhile, I have to accept that most doctors aren't evil. They just don't have the tools/support through insurance to properly help us women. Fertility is one of the things where doctors are taught to just throw spaghetti at the wall and hope it sticks, without truly understanding why it will or will not stick. Alas, the suffering continues.
At Lindis2531 wrote,
What about the other side of the coin, hormone-positive breast cancer that approx? Every 1 in 6 to 8 women get if they have a lot of estrogen circulating in their body?
At BatEls1870 wrote,
Extremely informative, and as a young woman in my late 20s, it has really given me a lot of food for thought nearing my 30s and what the future might look like. Was especially shocked at the amount of estrogen receptors us women have all over the body. Definitely explains a lot of the long-term issues that the older women in my life are experiencing from menopause.
At Rivolo1630 wrote,
I love your podcast, but wish you changed the studio. All black background makes it boring and made me sleep. Wish it was a happier atmosphere where nature/garden/sun LLGHT. Completely opposite.
At Madeline00 Dawn wrote,
A conversation that I've been longing for 15 years. Such a good job, Stephen, bringing these brilliant women together and sharing it with the world. Can't thank you enough.
At 79 Morgan wrote,
My wife, when having very heavy menstruation, usually says, the Stockholm bloodbath, it's a true event where the Danes beheaded all the nobility and so on. The blood ran in streams on the cobblestone streets of Stockholm.
Steitine wrote,
the most incredible and educated women at the moment who are really changing the history of humanity for women, and all of this has already been scientifically proven, which I think all women are grateful that these persistent and smart doctors have discovered all this and are sharing it with the whole world. God bless them, and I can't describe how grateful I am that you all exist. Thank you.
At Sea Green Tangerine 2065 wrote,
Thank YOUFOR this conversation. I am 54 years old and women's health has been ignored for years. Gaslighted by GP for years. Finally diagnosed with PCOS and endo when I reached 40. Found low-carb diet. Discovered fasting. Slowly healing. These women are THE best.
At Abergeraldine wrote,
The worst thing I did for my reproductive system was becoming a macrobiotic vegetarian. After years of wretched period issues and terrible skin, I took the advice of an elderly Chinese doctor who told me I was suffering malnutrition. Expecting the first beef I had eaten in 10 years to make me ill, the reverse happened instantly. I ate 2 steaks in succession, felt like Popeye, and never looked back.
At Fernanda Martinez, XB2KJ wrote,
Thank you. I love the sincere interest of understanding a woman. That being said, and if you are a gynecologist, I'm really confused. I stopped using the ring 3 months ago. After 2 years, I quit smoking also 2 years ago. I started doing exercise, but I also started to notice drop in my libido and more fine veins appearing and some pain in my legs that I was afraid felt as a clogging. I've been always regular with my period. I gained weight and I got better skin overall too. Now, without the ring, I'm 35. My period looks nothing like before the ring, is less abundant, longer, and I started to have more libido, worse sleep, skin, and hot flushes. I can assume perimenopause. So, based on the conversation, it sounds like if you are fertile, don't use contraceptives, but if you start to lose it, do take contraception or hormonal complements. Should I give my body more time without the ring? Or should I go back to it? I need to get a gynecologist soon. I thought might be worth posting the Q here. Thanks again for this conversation.
At Mary Hawkins, T9S2R wrote.
Great video. A month ago, my 5-year relationship came to an end. I really can't stop thinking about the love of my life, who made the decision to leave me. I've done everything in my power to win him back, but it's all in vain, and I can't imagine my life with anyone else. I genuinely miss him and just can't stop thinking about him, even though I've tried my hardest to stop thinking about him. I'm not sure why I'm saying this here.
At MWS6267 wrote.
I don't get it. Why all these highly educated doctors all use pills or let their daughter use pills for contraception. Isn't that naturally you'd think condoms is the least harmful and most protective contraception option? I understand one doctor used it for PCOS. But why the others won't see it's not a natural thing to inject in your body for decades?
Akimi Etwood 7720 wrote.
20. The pain tolerance thing is so real. I neglected an ectopic pregnancy pain because I didn't want to go to hospital again and say I'm in pain. 1 week later, I was in surgery and lost my fallopian tube. Almost exactly a year later, I was cognizant of ectopic pains. I was prompt to respond to minor annoyances and ended up getting neglected by female staff, ended up again in surgery, and lost my other fallopian tube. Either way, we lose.
At Milithanet 9218 wrote.
Amazing. I did send it to many of my friends. Actually made me cry a few times because I found myself in their stories. Which might could have been different if there would have been a doctor with a mindset like them.
At Helena Faustine 179 wrote.
Dear Stephen, Doak team, and the 4 amazing women doctors, thank you for educating us in this podcast. I've been diagnosed with endometriosis and was frustrated on how to improve it without hormonal drugs. And I find this very informative and give me hope in how improving my condition. As doctors in Indonesia could only prescribe drugs/surgery, which isn't what I hoped for. I hope there could be further intensive research on this matter that could change every doctor's view, especially male doctors, in this matter. I started watching Dope podcast 1 year ago and I've been ongoing with intermittent fasting, healthy diet, more veggies, and drinking ACV ever since. The size did not grow bigger, and monthly cycle is now less painful. Watching this podcast somehow confirms that I'm on the right track. You guys are amazing.
At CAC 3381 wrote.
The main focus for all of us, women plus men plus children plus pets, should be detoxing our lives, eliminating all the highly processed junk foods that are the majority of foods in the majority of grocery stores. It's imperative to consume lots of vegetables/salads and other real foods, sticking to basics for cleaning our homes/environments, and also eliminating all of the synthetics, clothing, undergarments, sheets, comforters including mattresses, and sitting in office chairs with those synthetic cushions, raising the temp of the men's testicles and decreasing the sperm. Our world is so super toxic. I am so busy with life. I'm 52, with the teens, juggling everything, and having my dad on hospice that I'm always on the back burner. I am running on empty, an overachiever who is running out of steam. I'm surrounded by people, but I feel so alone going through all this menopausal stuff. I went to see my DR male for my yearly physical, and he asked me if I wanted shots to help me lose some weight. I don't want to lose more muscle because of the shots. Finding a great and supportive DR like the ladies on this show seems like a tall order, so I keep just marching on by myself. My DR randomly asked how long I want to live. A strange question. Honestly, some days I'm just ready to go to the other side. Life is just too much, and there is nothing left of me. Other times, I hope to live long. The DR didn't know what to say except for me to think about the shots. He's probably getting kickbacks.
Aginations wrote,
Thank you for this. I don't know if I missed it, but are women not supposed to fast? Intermittent or prolonged? Asking for a combination of not wanting to spike insulin as often as well as from a spiritual side, where fasting has become a vital part of my spiritual journey.
At Flink 123, M3B wrote,
This isn't just a conversation for women to listen to. Women will find comfort in hearing what we already know to be true, while many men will finally begin to understand us from the start.
At Berk 5737 wrote,
I was on the pill from age 21 because of period pain. I only decided to come off it last year, age 41. I now realize how much it had affected my sex drive, and Lord knows what else damage it has done. DRS always said it was fine as long as I am not putting weight on. That was all I was ever told.
At MM85761 wrote,
Can you please start compiling summaries for each episode? As much as I love listening to smart people talking about topics I like, I don't always have the time budget. There are more podcast episodes than time.
LTG2I wrote,
My New Year's resolution is financial independence. In the face of challenging government policies, the best defense is a good offense. That's why I've started investing, and I'm going all in for 2026.
At April C1H wrote,
Ladies, if you have periods, start your girls with reusable pads. I started later in life, but it really lets you see your cycle better if it's normal or not.
At Michelle Drone wrote,
This episode hits me at a deeper place, because I lived much of this in my own way. Fast forward to today. My ex-wife went through violent, irregular periods, 2 weeks on, 1 week off, floods of pain and instability. And now my daughter, at 14, is going through the same nightmare. Because of what I learned back then, I'm not helpless. I know something about hormone regulation. I know something about how concentration must be constant. I know enough to sit with doctors, demand answers, push for solutions. I have those hard conversations with the doctor, with my ex, with my daughter, with my partner. Back in 2000, as a young intern at Organon/Diosin, I broke my leg. Because of that, I had to find secret, unconventional ways to conduct research. Time had slipped away. I had to rush. Many around me, colleagues, even my own intern supervisor, doubted me, pushed back against progressive thinking. I felt alone. My immediate guidance resisted, but my section head allowed me a chance. That small window of trust was all I needed. One day on a train, I shared frustration with a lab colleague. He asked, "Ever tried infrared spectrum analysis?" We ended up working 20 plus unpaid hours after hours in a basement lab to produce IR spectra. That data exposed the flaw. The tracer hormone broke under compression, making the standard measurement method misleading. My report showed real distribution was much tighter, implying we could reduce hormonal load massively. At one critical moment, there was a decision to scrap fluid bed granulation altogether. My findings made them pause, reconsider, and proceed. Today, many contraceptive pills are produced with 80 to 90% less hormone, equivalently 5 to 10 multiplied lower dose, than older methods once assumed necessary. That change is rooted in what I discovered under immense pressure and doubt. Yet, how the system responded was brutal. My report graded 5/10, a fail in the Dutch system. My presentation, the one that swayed decision makers, got a 6. I was told I was too forward, too progressive, that I lacked depth in research. My dyslexia was held against me, every minor textual flaw, every slip in writing, used as ammunition to discredit everything behind it. But the science was real. I still have that original report. It's my proof. Anyone who wants to see it, I can show it. That young student laid a foundation I carry into my family life now. My daughter is walking a path I'm primed to help her with. The insight I gained is not just academic, it's a tool, a form of protection. When I watch podcasts talk about hormonal balance cycles, periods, I'm not just listening, I'm feeling the reverberations of a breakthrough I fought for in silence. Yes, I am proud. I am honored. Because what started as a struggle, a battle against structure and bias, became the groundwork for something that now helps lives.
Nada Salimi wrote,
Growing up in a semi-traditional household, I vividly remember what my mom told me about contraception. Your role as a woman is to get pregnant and go through all its difficulties and responsibilities during and after that, sometimes a couple of times. Your partner's role is to make sure it doesn't happen when the timing isn't right for both of you. If a man isn't ready to take responsibility, don't sleep with him. He doesn't respect you or your body. Period. I listened to her. I'm 41, have one daughter, built my career, have been with the same wonderful man for 17 years, and have never taken a single pill or missed a period. Thank you, Mom. You gave me the recipe for finding the right man.
The Sigh Around wrote,
I'm on my second listening. This is such a valuable discussion. Love that I'm listening to some of my fave people online exchanging experiences, issues, and knowledge. And also, Stephen's earnestness in trying to understand women's health issues is so adorable.
Buying Caverns wrote,
Would be amazing in the next panel to have some Indigenous women health experts representing Native perspectives on women's health rather than just having modern medical perspectives represented. Diversity and Indigenous wisdom on women's health is a must for important discussions like this on global platforms.
Rurfam wrote,
There was a time I gave birth and didn't get my period for 2 years. I was doing so much for my whole family and was under so much stress. I finally started taking care of my mental health and started walking 10K steps daily. My menstrual cycle is now normal, and I get it every month again. I also reduced stress and started practicing saying the word NO to a lot of people.
Ubiquitous_1 wrote,
I love this panel. You never see this much knowledge from multiple angles on this subject, unless you're at some conference. It's also commendable, the effort that Stephen puts in to understand this for himself and his GF.
CRE_Aspire2B wrote,
Would you kindly ask the panel their thoughts on bioidentical plant-based estradiol hormone therapy vs. the synthetic types such as Premarin? My understanding is that bioidentical is important as the better option.
Nunanuna7968 wrote,
As a 41 woman with endometriosis, I really appreciate this kind of discussion. Thanks so much. I am not sure if I can ask, but could you have an episode just on endometriosis? There's so much to learn about this condition. Thanks again.
Ellisan King wrote,
VR Vonda Wright talks about the curiosity that defines medicine and how it's missing from conversations about women's health. I can't help but feel the same about mRNA technology. So many people have experienced side effects, yet instead of genuine inquiry, we're met with the flat reassurance that vaccines are safe. The curiosity seems to stop there too. History has a way of humbling us. I suspect we'll look back on this time, much like we do on medicine 100 years ago, and realize we didn't truly know what we were doing.
At London Waller 8280 wrote,
I had CPP as a child, was treated with Lupron. I've never had a period that wasn't brutal in every single way. I had 2 IEDs that expelled themselves from bleeding and intense cramping. I finally got a PCOS diagnosis and am on track to get an endo. This made me so happy.
At Susan Furtado OC6YN wrote,
All the information was so informative, and thank you for making this happen. I understand that not everything can be discussed, although I wish these experts discussed adenomyosis.
At Natalia Willis 15 wrote,
For so many reasons, Stephen, this is the best episode I've watched. Thank you so much. To the 4 women on the panel, thank you for your wisdom and courage to share.
Constellation wrote,
So there's a group of women here who are deep into the science of women, saying that women are biologically different from men. Yet there are those claiming there's no differences between men and women. Those making such claims want to label women as birthing person. That's incredibly degrading.